and their mother don't believe them.
Well,
right?
You got to think about it. How did the person get to the child? The
Yeah, where
child
was
is
the
under the
father?
mother's supervision,
Where was
and
the father?
the boyfriend gets to the child. How? Through the mother.
Where was the father?
The father isn't there.
Okay, then. So let's start with the leadership.
The leadership is the mother if the father isn't there.
Wait, did you just say the leadership is the mother? So now
If
we're
the father
putting
isn't there, who else is the
leadership on
leader?
women. Are we? This is
The
the problem with,
leadership is on the
this
mother
is
if
the
the
problem
father
with
isn't
community.
there.
It
You
seems
guys
like you're
are
trying to
putting
twist it,
leadership on women.
No,
You just said the
I
woman is the
said
leader
what I
of the
said,
home.
B.
Where
Taylor. I
is
said what
the
I said.
father? Men, if you
You can
want to
disagree, but I
protect
said
I
what I
think
young
Ali
said.
trying
girls,
to get in it.
if you want to protect young girls and you want to protect women, men need to lead, not the woman needs to lead.
But
Obviously,
there's no
women are not.
man
Wait,
in the household.
hold on. Women are not meant to lead, right? So therefore, where is the man? If you, it's obviously
There's no man, so the woman is the leader.
It's a common denominator that you keep skipping over, and you're
The common
skipping over
denominator
the
is the
fact
actual person
that
that
there's
raises a
no
child.
man in the home protecting the woman and guiding her.
Do
so
you
she can
agree,
take care
B.
of some
Taylor? Because we're going to keep going
children.
back and forth. Do you agree
Are you
that the person...
listening? Are you
Let me
listening,
ask
or
you a
you just
question. Let
responding?
me ask you a question.
Are you
B.
listening?
Taylor,
Wait, hold
can
on.
I ask you a
Before you
question?
ask me, you can't
I'm
ask me
asking
a
you a
question if
question
you're
because
not
we're going to keep
listening.
going back and forth.
You cannot ask me a question
Can I
if
ask you a
you're not
question?
listening. You
Can I ask you a
can't
question?
ask me a question if you're not
Okay,
listening.
so here's the
You're not
question.
listening.
If the man
You're
is
ready to
not...
ask questions, but you're
If the
not ready to
man is
answer what
not
I'm
in the
saying to you.
household, who is the leader of the child?
The man, where is the man?
If the man is
Where is
in
the
the
man?
household, who is the leader of the child?
Where
Answer the
is the
question.
man?
If the
Now-
man is not in the
Where
household,
is
who's the
he?
leader of the child?
Where is the man?
Who's the leader of the household if there's no man in the household?
Asking me a question without answering
Okay.
mine.
Okay, cut. This isn't working.
So, are we talking about like regular, are we talking about married people where they're divorced and then she's a single mom? Are we talking about women who just have kids with a man and then the man is just not there because they're not together? Which one are we talking about?
Majority of the
I thought they
household
were
is
speaking
single
on
mother
trauma,
household.
but I just want to say, just to kind of, wrap this up. Can we all agree or do we disagree that abandonment is traumatic or it's not traumatic?
That's a part of the trauma, but the person that stays is usually the person that traumatized the person, and
You're
not
saying
the
that
person
the
that
person
leaves.
that's around is the influence.
The influence. I like that word. Yes, I agree. The influence. Right. So now we can move on, B. Taylor.
Okay, never answered.
Who else?
Thank you,
Precious,
Lucky.
Lady Stan.
Good one, Lucky.
Anybody else other than B. Taylor?
Hold on, let me go to.
Is this your show? I thought it said Lapeef
Hold on,
on
hold
here.
on.
I didn't know
Somebody
it
else,
said let
please.
go.
Hello. Anybody?
Hold on.
Well,
Hold on. Go ahead, Ali.
B. Teller made some good points, and you made some good points. The funny thing is, when she's conflating what she's saying, when she's saying she dealt with a man who left, and you dealt with a woman you didn't stay with. Y'all saying the same things, but that means when we go back to the goal thing and we're not communicating, a lot of women who lay down with a man had no idea who that man was, didn't know his goals, didn't care about his goals, and didn't even allow that man to claim them. So when you're asking where the man is, that man wasn't prioritized. Neither was his goals. If that man said he didn't want a child, if that man said he didn't want to be there, you didn't care nothing about that. Not only that, you said you want 50-50, you want equality, but it's not when it's my body, my choice. When it's my body, my choice, you don't care about fairness. You don't care about equality. You don't care about that man's responsibility to that child or even him having any words. So you can't say, I want the man to be responsible for everything, but you don't listen to nothing. You can't say that. So if you prioritize the man, then the man will be there. But if the man can't take no leadership in that household, and we all know this from what's happening to Master P, what's happening with who else? 50 Cent's son. I don't care how much a father fights for his son, how much he wants to be there for his kids. The mother, just like on us, just like you can get men to pander and simp, a mother's influence on her kids is way stronger than the father's influence over his kids. If you turn those children against them kids, it's not till them kids get in their 20s, 30s that learn that what their mother was doing. So we don't put no accountability and responsibility on what the mother does to keep the family together. It don't matter how hard that father fights to be in his child, whether he went to go get full custody, whether he's paying child support. If that mother is turning those kids against that man, it's going to be a hard thing for him to repair or rectify that relationship. And I know I have a lot of experience in that area with family members, with mental health, and a lot of people who do get to certain positions look at their father different. They go, damn, it wasn't my father, it was my mother. She didn't keep all of us together, but I'm still traumatized over what my mama did as well too, because we don't talk about the fact. What's funny is women love to overuse trauma when it's convenient for them. Is the boy traumatized? Is the boy sexualized?
Absolutely.
Did a lot of women turn out young boys, babysitters, mothers, were they touched? And the same women that turned out other little girls, we don't have that discussion. So you can't bring your trauma into the consideration and not talk about the over mothered boy who also was sexualized and think both of them just supposed to have sex and when it's convenient. But he's just doing what his mama taught him. And a lot of men who do teach their men to their daughters stay away from men is not from good men, it's from bad men. It's not away from good men. It's from bad men from things that they lived out or situations they had with other women, and they do look into and take consideration of what they've done with women who were traumatized as well too. If we're going to use that word, what I think is overplayed, and they don't want their daughters to go through the same thing.
See, women love to look at the man's responsibility after the man is gone.
I know. Just be rolling over people's points.
It's crazy y'all do that.
Because I really wanted to ask you guys, since he brought that up, because that is a really big thing that we don't talk about. That is heavily influential on little girls and boys. But I wanted to ask, like, just me personally, and my biological father, I was raised by a stepfather. My biological father always made it seem like it was my mom from a certain age, right? I'm just being honest. But when it got to being on his own, he wasn't consistent. So then me as a child started to see it was really you. And I hear that story from a lot of different people. So are we saying that percentage of that happens in households where when it's the father's time to really be in the child's life, there is fathers that are not consistent. You know what I'm saying? Based because they're whatever the case may be, they don't really follow through. So they give their children impressions as well. So now you have influence from the mother and the father. Do you guys believe that particular scenario is not big enough to talk about in these discussions? Or do you?
Right, because you said when it's the father's time to be in a child, why is the father's time whenever the relationship
in this
is screwed
scenario,
up instead of his time
in
being
this
whenever the
scenario
relationship?
y'all talking about, he wasn't there, right? That's what
Right.
we're talking about. Right. So I'm saying there's times where the father comes back around when the kid gets older, right? Like you mentioned 50 Cent. 50 Cent did mention when he came back around his child, he said that he wasn't my son, he was her son. So I'm saying, do you think that when fathers just choose to come back around in these scenarios where they're choosing to still not even be around, even when you're an adult and you're trying to have a relationship with your biological father, you hear even men on shows trying to fix their life, confronting their fathers, and they're not really acknowledging it. You know what I'm saying? Because they come from something broken. Is that scenario not big enough to add?
No, it's not, because in these cases the woman is keeping the father.
It
A
is
lot
it
of the
is-
times
it's
the
definitely
wife,
Just
worth-
because my answers ain't the same as yours, I mean you got to cut me off every time, bro.
Right.
It's definitely worth speaking on it though.
I said it doesn't happen enough to a point to where it's spoke of on the rate that it is.
Right.
On the contrary.
But it's worth talking about is all she's saying.
Okay, it's worth talking about. I'm saying it isn't spoken of a lot for you to notice it, because it isn't happening as consistently as the contrary.